Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about the power that lies within you. The power to push past every excuse, every obstacle, and every doubt. The power to force yourself to achieve your goals, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation is a wonderful thing. It's the spark that gets you excited about a new goal, the rush of energy that makes you believe anything is possible. It's that feeling of being inspired, of seeing a vision so clearly that you can almost touch it. But motivation is also fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind, unpredictable and unreliable. Some days you wake up feeling unstoppable, ready to take on the world. Other days you can't even find the energy to get started, and that is where most people fail. They rely on motivation to carry them through, waiting for the next wave of inspiration to hit before they take action. But the truth is, motivation will never be enough. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never achieve anything meaningful. Successful people don't depend on motivation. They depend on discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's the practice of showing up, putting in the work, and following through, no matter how uninspired or unmotivated you may feel. It's the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. When you rely on motivation, you give yourself an easy way out. You tell yourself that if you don't feel up to it today, you'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year. And before you know it, the dream that once felt so real has faded into the background, lost in a sea of procrastination and broken promises to yourself. Discipline eliminates that excuse. It removes the option of waiting until you feel like it. It forces you to act regardless of how you feel. Discipline is built through small, consistent actions. It's not about grand gestures or massive leaps forward. It's about waking up every day and doing what needs to be done, no matter how insignificant it seems in the moment. It's about making the decision to push through discomfort, to show up even when you'd rather quit. It's about creating habits that keep you on track, even when motivation disappears. People who master discipline understand that progress isn't about how you feel in the moment. It's about the commitment you make to yourself. It's about honoring that commitment, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. They don't negotiate with their excuses. They don't let their emotions dictate their actions. They decide once, and then they follow through, no matter what. Motivation makes you feel good, but discipline makes you grow. Motivation is exciting, but discipline is transformative. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is what leads to long-term success. If you want to achieve your goals, you must shift your focus from waiting for motivation to developing discipline. You must train yourself to take action regardless of how you feel. You must become the kind of person who does the work, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching. Every great achievement in history has been built on discipline. The athletes who rise to the top, the artists who create masterpieces, the entrepreneurs who build empires, they all have one thing in common. They don't just work when they're inspired. They don't just show up when it's easy. They commit to their craft, to their vision, to their goals, day in and day out, with relentless consistency. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. The first few times you push yourself to act when you don't feel like it, it's uncomfortable. Your mind resists, your body fights back, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Over time, taking action, even in the absence of motivation, becomes second nature. You stop needing to feel inspired to get things done. You simply do them because that's who you are. Most people never reach their full potential because they allow their feelings to control their actions. They give in to laziness, distractions, and self-doubt. They let temporary discomfort stop them from building lasting success. But the people who achieve their goals understand that feelings are fleeting, while results are permanent. They know that every small action they take, every moment of discipline, compounds over time. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the tool that turns dreams into reality, that transforms ideas into results. It's not glamorous, it's not always fun, but it's necessary. If you can train yourself to act despite how you feel, if you can force yourself to take the next step even when you don't want to, you will become unstoppable. So many people spend their lives waiting. They wait for the right time, the right opportunity, the perfect moment to take action. They tell themselves that they'll start when they feel more confident, when they have more money, when life feels a little less chaotic. But that perfect moment never comes. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and before they know it, years have passed, and they're still standing in the same place, holding on to the same excuses, dreaming about a future they never took action on. Waiting for the perfect moment is one of the biggest traps that keeps people stuck. It creates an illusion that someday everything will line up just right, and then they will finally be ready. But life doesn't work that way. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be obstacles. There will always be reasons to wait, but none of them matter because the only way to move forward is to start now. People convince themselves that if they wait, they'll be better prepared. They believe that more time will bring more clarity, more knowledge, more resources. But the truth is, action creates clarity. You don't get more confident by waiting. You get more confident by doing. You don't get better by thinking about it. You get better by practicing. Progress isn't made by planning endlessly. It's made by taking steps, imperfect, messy, uncomfortable steps. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who waited until they felt completely ready. They are the ones who moved forward despite their doubts. They are the ones who started before they knew exactly how everything would work out. They understood that waiting wouldn't make things easier. It would only delay their growth. They didn't let fear of failure hold them back because they knew that failure is part of the process, not the end of the journey. Fear is one of the biggest reasons people wait. They fear making mistakes, looking foolish, or not being good enough. But fear never disappears. It doesn't suddenly vanish once you reach a certain level of success. The only way to overcome fear is to face it head on. The only way to build confidence is to prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. Every successful person has felt fear, but they didn't let it stop them. They pushed through, even when they were uncertain, even when they were scared, even when they didn't have all the answers. Perfectionism is another excuse people use to justify waiting. They tell themselves they can't start until everything is just right, until they have every detail figured out. But perfection is an illusion. It's an excuse disguised as a standard. The pursuit of perfection keeps people trapped in endless preparation, in constant hesitation. They spend so much time trying to make things perfect that they never actually make progress. The reality is, nothing will ever be perfect, and you don't need perfection to succeed. What you need is action. People who achieve their goals understand that action leads to improvement. They don't wait to be the best before they start and then become the best. They understand that mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. They know that setbacks are not signs to quit, they are opportunities to grow. They embrace the process of learning, of refining, of evolving. They focus on progress, not perfection. Opportunities don't wait for you to be ready. They come and go, and if you're always waiting for the right time, you'll miss them. The people who succeed are the ones who recognize an opportunity and take action, even if they don't feel fully prepared. They know that success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making the moment perfect by stepping into it with courage and determination. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and once it's gone, you can't get it back. Every day you spend waiting is a day you'll never get again. Every moment you delay is a moment you could have used to move closer to your goals. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Procrastination turns into a habit. And before you know it, you've spent more time thinking about your dreams than actually working on them. Taking action now, even if it's small, creates momentum. One step leads to another, and before you know it, you've built something real. The first step is always the hardest, but once you take it, the next one becomes easier. The longer you wait, the more reasons you'll find to keep waiting. But the moment you take action, you break that cycle. You prove to yourself that you don't need to have everything figured out to start. Nobody starts at the top. Nobody starts as an expert. The people who are successful today were once beginners, just like you. The difference is that they didn't let uncertainty stop them. They didn't wait until they had all the answers. They didn't wait for a perfect moment. They started where they were with what they had and figured the rest out along the way. They trusted that as long as they kept moving forward, they would learn, grow. The greatest regret people have at the end of their lives is not the things they tried and failed at, but the things they never tried at all. the opportunities they let pass by, the dreams they never pursued because they were too busy waiting for the perfect moment. But the truth is, the perfect moment is the one you decide to take action in. It's the one where you stop waiting and start doing. It's the one where you take control of your own future and refuse to let fear, doubt, or hesitation hold you back. There is something powerful about what happens when you show up, even when no one is watching. It's easy to give your best when there's an audience, when people are applauding, when the world is paying attention. But the real work, the real transformation, the real success, it happens in the moments when nobody sees you, when nobody is clapping, when nobody even knows the effort you're putting in. This is where most people get it wrong. They think they need validation, approval, or recognition in order to stay consistent. They need someone to cheer them on, to acknowledge their progress, to reassure them that they are on the right path. But the people who truly succeed in life understand that greatness is built in the unseen hours. It's not about who notices your work. It's about the work itself. It's about the discipline to keep going, the resilience to push through, and the integrity to give your best even when there's no immediate reward. Think about the athletes who wake up before the sun rises, training in silence long before the stadium is full. Think about the writers who spend hours refining their words long before their work is published. Think about the entrepreneurs who grind for years behind the scenes before anyone ever calls them successful. The pattern is the same across every field, every profession, every dream. The most successful people understand that the work you do in private determines the results you get in public. The problem is, most people only show up when there's an incentive. They give their best when there's a reward attached. They work hard when someone is watching, when someone is keeping score, when there's immediate gratification. But that's not how real success is built. Real success is built on consistency, on effort, on showing up for yourself, not just for others. The reality is, nobody is going to give you a standing ovation for the hours you put in behind the scenes. Nobody is going to cheer for you when you wake up early, when you push through exhaustion, when you sacrifice comfort for progress. There are no instant rewards for doing what needs to be done. But that's exactly why so few people reach their full potential, because they are waiting for motivation, for external validation, for someone to tell them they are on the right path. The truth is, the people who succeed don't need that validation. They have something more powerful than external approval. They have self-discipline. They have commitment. They have an unshakable belief that their effort matters even when nobody is watching. They understand that every rep, every practice, every small step forward is building something bigger, even if the results aren't visible yet. It's easy to feel discouraged when you don't see immediate progress. It's frustrating to work hard and not get instant results. But every great achievement, every major breakthrough, every life-changing success is the result of unseen effort. It's the work that happens in the quiet moments when nobody is there to applaud you that sets the foundation for greatness. Most people give up too soon because they think their effort is wasted. They think that because nobody is watching, because nobody is acknowledging their progress, it must not matter. But the truth is, everything you do in private will eventually be reflected in public. The discipline you build, the skills you develop, the resilience you strengthen, it all adds up, and when the time comes, the results will speak for themselves. Success is not about being seen. It's not about showing off your progress or waiting for recognition. It's about becoming the kind of person who does the work, regardless of who is watching. It's about committing to your goals, not because someone else expects you to, but because you expect it from yourself. Think about the greatest performers, the greatest leaders, the greatest minds of all time. They weren't born successful. They weren't handed their achievements. They worked for them tirelessly, relentlessly, often in complete obscurity before anyone ever knew their names. They trained, they practiced, they prepared long before the world took notice, and that is what set them apart. What you do in private will determine what you achieve in public. The habits you build, the effort you put in, the consistency you develop. It will all pay off in ways you can't even imagine. But you have to be willing to do the work without applause. You have to be willing to stay disciplined when nobody is holding you accountable. You have to be willing to invest in yourself, even when nobody else sees the progress you're making. Most people won't do this. Most people will give up when it gets hard. Most people will quit when they don't see instant results. But the ones who push through, the ones who stay committed, the ones who show up every single day, those are the ones who achieve greatness. There is no shortcut. There is no easy way. It all comes down to what you are willing to do when nobody is watching. Are you willing to show up even when it's inconvenient? Are you willing to give your best even when there's no immediate reward? Are you willing to trust the process even when the results aren't visible yet? The answers to those questions will determine everything. Success isn't about doing what's convenient. It isn't about working hard only when it feels good, or pushing forward only when the conditions are favorable. Success is built on the ability to be consistent, to show up and put in the work even when it's the last thing you feel like doing. Too many people operate based on convenience. They work hard when they're in the mood. They take action when they feel inspired. They put in the effort when things are going well. But the moment it becomes uncomfortable, the moment it requires sacrifice, the moment it demands more than they expected, they hesitate, they pull back, they start looking for excuses. And that's why so many dreams remain unfulfilled, because people treat their goals as an option instead of a commitment. If you only do the work when it's easy, you will never reach your full potential. If you only stay disciplined when you feel motivated, you will never build anything meaningful. True success requires consistency, and consistency means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means pushing through on the days when you'd rather quit. It means refusing to let your emotions dictate your actions. People who achieve extraordinary things understand that consistency is more powerful than motivation. They don't wait to feel inspired. They don't wait until they're in the mood. They build habits that keep them moving forward, regardless of how they feel in the moment. They understand that every small action compounds over time, and the results don't come from bursts of effort, but from steady, disciplined progress. The problem is that most people look for shortcuts. They want fast results. They want to reach their goals without discomfort. They want to succeed without struggle. But success doesn't work like that. Success is a long game, and the only way to win is to stay in it when others quit. It's easy to show up in the beginning when everything is exciting and new. It's easy to work hard when you're seeing quick results. But what happens when the excitement fades? What happens when progress slows down? What happens when the process becomes repetitive, exhausting, frustrating? That is the moment that separates those who succeed from those who don't. The people who win are the ones who keep going even when it feels like nothing is happening. They push forward even when progress is slow. They show up even when they don't see immediate results. They don't let their emotions control their actions because they understand that feelings are temporary, but results come from long-term commitment. Think about the athletes who train every single day, even when they're tired, even when they don't feel like it. Think about the artists who create every day, even when inspiration is nowhere to be found. Think about the entrepreneurs who keep grinding even when nobody believes in them. The pattern is the same across every field. The people who succeed are not necessarily the most talented, the most gifted, or the most lucky. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who show up day after day without excuses. The reality is, your dreams are not going to wait for you to feel ready. Your goals are not going to wait for you to feel motivated. If you want something, you have to go after it with consistency, with discipline, with unwavering commitment. You have to make the decision that you are going to keep going no matter what, because there will always be obstacles. There will always be challenges. There will always be moments of doubt. But none of those things matter if you refuse to give up. Most people fail not because they lack talent, not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack consistency. They start strong, but they don't follow through. They get excited, but they don't stay committed. They let small setbacks convince them to quit. But success isn't about how you start. It's about how you keep going. It's about whether you can keep showing up, even when the process gets tough. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's not about never making mistakes. It's about staying in the game long enough to see results. It's about building habits that keep you on track. It's about developing the kind of mindset that refuses to let temporary setbacks become permanent failures. People often look at successful individuals and think they must have had it easy. They assume they were lucky or naturally gifted. But what they don't see is the years of work behind the scenes, the moments when they wanted to quit but didn't, the days when they felt exhausted but still pushed forward, the sacrifices they made, the discipline they built, the consistency they maintained. If you want to achieve something great, you have to be willing to do what most people won't. You have to be willing to work when it's inconvenient. You have to be willing to keep going when you don't feel like it. You have to be willing to push yourself beyond what's comfortable. Because in the end, success is not determined by what you do once in a while. It's determined by what you do every single day. There will be moments in your journey when doubt creeps in. Moments when you question whether you're on the right path, whether all the effort you're putting in is even worth it. There will be times when you look around and feel like everyone else is moving faster, achieving more, getting ahead, while you're stuck in the same place. And in those moments, the temptation to slow down, to take a step back, to convince yourself that maybe this isn't meant for you will be strong. But that is exactly the moment when you have to push harder. Doubt is not a sign that you should quit. Doubt is a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you are stepping into unfamiliar territory, that you are pushing beyond what's comfortable. And that's where real transformation happens. Too many people let doubt dictate their actions. The moment they start feeling unsure, they pull back. They take it as a sign that they should stop, that they should wait until they feel more confident. But confidence doesn't come from waiting. Confidence comes from moving forward despite the doubt, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty. Every person who has ever achieved anything significant has faced doubt. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every world-class performer has had moments where they weren't sure if they would make it. But the difference between them and everyone else is that they didn't let doubt control them. They felt it, but they kept going anyway. They understood that doubt is just a thought, not a fact. It's an emotion, not a reality. And the only way to silence doubt is through action. When you feel uncertain, when you feel like you're not making progress, that is not the time to slow down. That is the time to double down. Because the truth is, most people quit right before their breakthrough. They stop trying right before things start to click. They let their temporary emotions lead them away from something that was about to turn into success. But the people who succeed are the ones who keep pushing through, even when there's no evidence that it's working, even when it feels like nothing is changing. They keep moving forward because they trust that if they stay consistent, the results will come. Your mind will try to convince you that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that other people are more talented, more prepared, more capable. But you cannot let those thoughts win. You have to understand that doubt is not truth, it's just resistance. It's the part of your mind that wants to keep you safe, that wants to keep you comfortable, that doesn't want you to take risks. But comfort does not lead to greatness. Playing it safe does not lead to success. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, you have to learn how to push past the doubt, how to act even when you don't feel ready. Doubt thrives in inaction. The longer you sit with it, the stronger it gets. The more you overthink, the more excuses you will create. But the moment you take action, the moment you start moving, doubt loses its power, because action proves to you that you are capable. And every small step forward is evidence that you can handle the challenges, that you can figure things out, that you are not stuck. And over time, those small steps build into something bigger, something undeniable. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting until they feel completely certain before they take action. They think they need more information, more experience, more validation. But certainty doesn't come before action. It comes after. It comes from doing, from failing, from learning, from adjusting. It comes from showing yourself day after day that you are stronger than your doubts, that you are capable of more than you ever thought possible. Most people spend their lives waiting to feel ready, waiting for a sign, waiting for the fear to go away. But waiting never leads to anything. The only way to move forward is to act despite the doubt, despite the fear, despite the discomfort. The only way to build confidence is to take action when you don't feel confident. Think about the moments in your life when you accomplished something you once thought was impossible. Think about the first time you did something that scared you, that challenged you, that forced you out of your comfort zone. At first, it felt intimidating. It felt overwhelming. But once you did it, you realized that you were stronger than you thought, that the fear was just an illusion, that the doubt was just noise. That same principle applies to everything in life. Doubt will always be there. It doesn't go away just because you achieve a certain level of success. Every new level will bring new challenges, new fears, new uncertainties. But what changes is your ability to push through. What changes is your ability to act even when you're unsure. The people who succeed are not the ones who never feel doubt. They're the ones who refuse to let doubt control them. You have to train yourself to keep moving, to keep going, to keep taking action, no matter what your mind is telling you. Because if you let doubt stop you now, it will stop you forever. If you give in to hesitation today, you will keep hesitating for the rest of your life. But if you prove to yourself that you can act despite the doubt, if you show yourself that you can keep going no matter what, you will build an unshakable mindset. You will develop the kind of confidence that isn't based on circumstances, but on the deep knowledge that you can handle anything that comes your way. Every time you push past doubt, you grow. Every time you take action despite fear, you become stronger. And over time, that strength turns into something unstoppable. The reason most people never reach their full potential isn't because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. It's because they get distracted. They allow themselves to be pulled in 100 different directions, chasing what's urgent instead of what's important. They let other people's priorities dictate their time, their energy, their focus. And before they know it, the vision they once had for their life is buried under a pile of distractions, obligations, and excuses. If you are serious about achieving your goals, you have to protect your focus. You have to treat it like a precious resource because that's exactly what it is. Your focus determines what you create. It determines what you build. It determines whether or not you follow through on your dreams. And if you are not intentional about where you place it, the world will steal it from you. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they are constantly stopping and starting. They work on something for a while, then get distracted by something else. They set a goal, then abandon it the moment it gets difficult. They start moving in one direction, then let self-doubt convince them to take a different path. And in the end, they spend their lives moving in circles, never making real progress because they never commit long enough to see results. Success requires deep, uninterrupted focus. It requires you to block out distractions, to say no to things that don't align with your goals, to create an environment that supports your growth instead of pulling you away from it. You cannot afford to let the small things consume your time and energy. You cannot afford to let social media, meaningless conversations, or other people's opinions take priority over your vision. If you want to achieve something great, you have to make the decision to focus fully, completely, relentlessly. They are not scattered. They are not jumping from one thing to the next, chasing every new opportunity that comes their way. They are locked in. They know exactly what they are working toward, and they refuse to let anything pull them off course. They protect their time, they guard their energy, and they focus on what actually matters. And because of that, they achieve things that most people only dream about. The problem is that we live in a world designed to steal our focus. Everywhere you turn, something is fighting for your attention. Notifications, emails, news, entertainment. We are constantly being pulled in different directions, and if you don't take control of your focus, it will be taken from you. Most people spend their days reacting, responding to messages, checking social media, dealing with distractions, without ever taking the time to think about whether those things are actually important. They wake up with big dreams, but by the time they get through all the noise, they have no energy left to pursue them. You have to be different. You have to be intentional. You have to take a stand and say, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm committed to. And I will not allow anything to take my focus away from it. You have to train yourself to ignore distractions, to say no to things that don't align with your goals, to stay locked in on what actually moves you forward. Because if you don't, you will look back years from now and realize that you spent your life being busy instead of being productive. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about focusing your energy on the few things that will actually create the results you want. Too many people spread themselves thin, trying to do everything, trying to please everyone, trying to keep up with everything that's happening in the world. But that is a recipe for failure. You cannot do everything. You cannot chase every opportunity. You cannot allow yourself to be distracted by things that don't contribute to your success. You have to simplify. You have to cut out what isn't serving you. You have to remove the unnecessary so you can focus on the essential. And that requires discipline. It requires saying no, even when it's uncomfortable. It requires being willing to step away from distractions, even when they're tempting. It requires prioritizing your goals, even when other people don't understand why you're so focused. The truth is, the ability to focus is one of the rarest and most valuable skills in the world today. Most people are scattered. Most people are distracted. Most people cannot sit down and work on one thing for an extended period of time without checking their phones, without switching to something else, without losing focus. And that is exactly why the people who master focus achieve extraordinary results. If you want to separate yourself from the crowd, become the kind of person who can lock in on a goal and stay with it until it's achieved. Become the kind of person who can block out distractions, who can work deeply, who can maintain focus even when the world is pulling them in 100 different directions. If you can do that, you will accomplish things that most people never will. But it won't happen by accident. You have to train yourself. You have to create habits that protect your focus. You have to set boundaries that keep distractions away. You have to structure your day so that your energy is spent on the things that actually move you forward. And most importantly, you have to commit. Fully, completely, without hesitation. The people who achieve great things are not the ones who have the most time. They are not the ones who have the most talent. They are the ones who know how to focus, the ones who know how to eliminate distractions, the ones who know how to stay committed to a vision without getting pulled off track. And if you can develop that skill, there is no limit to what you can achieve. At the end of the day, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is your ability to push through. Push through the doubt, push through the discomfort, push through the moments when giving up feels like the easier option. Success is not reserved for the most talented, the most privileged, or the most fortunate. It belongs to those who refuse to quit. It belongs to those who show up every single day, no matter how they feel. It belongs to those who stay focused, who stay disciplined, who stay committed to their vision, even when the results aren't immediate. You will have moments of frustration. You will have days when it feels like nothing is working. You will question whether you're on the right path, whether all the effort is worth it. And in those moments, you have to remind yourself why you started. You have to remind yourself that everything you want is on the other side of consistency, of persistence, of unwavering belief in yourself. The people who win in life are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who refuse to let struggle stop them. So force yourself to show up. Show up. Force yourself to push forward. Force yourself to keep going even when no one is watching, even when no one is clapping, even when the finish line feels miles away. Because success isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about creating it. It's about stepping up, putting in the work, and proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined.